This week on Movie Time Machine, Ed and Lorraine Warren travel to North London to help a single mother raising 4 children alone in a house plagued by supernatural spirits. This is The Conjuring 2. Welcome to the Movie Time Machine Monster Closet, your retro horror movie review podcast where we take nightmares from the past and relive them in the present. This week's movie, The Conjuring 2, released in the year 2016, directed by James Wan, and written by Chad and Carrie Hayes. I'm your Time Machine host, Chad, and I want to introduce you to my Monster Closet co-host, a man who wants to be stranded on an island, Mr. Scaredy Pants himself, Jamie. What's up?
Hey, Chad. Hopefully the island is not England and I'm not stranded with Valak the nun.
Valak.
Valak.
All right. Before we get into our movie conversation, what have you been up to lately as far as the horror genre goes? Been catching anything? Did you get that Fear Street under your belt yet? Or what have you been up to?
Man, I'm only here to disappoint. I'm sad to report that I've been neglecting my horror duties. I have instead I've been watching other stuff. I'm sorry. Have you been keeping the horror alive?
No, but I'm going to cheat and say that the shark show that we watched last night with my 2 children, so a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, would probably be considered a horror film for most families in that same situation because it was about shark attacks off the coast of I can't remember where in Egypt now, like maybe like somewhere like Cairo maybe, but yeah, it was like showing like people that had like crazy lacerations from like from shark attacks and just like missing legs and arms.
Some real life horror.
So yeah, so real high. So and we're going on a vacation to a beach in a couple weeks. So and Lorenzo doesn't really remember the beach, so that's kind of this reminder. And the first person that they interviewed that actually lost a limb was like talking about the experience, and Lorenzo was really into it because he knew like these other people had been bitten by sharks, and like it panned to her like turning and missing her arm, and he just got totally freaked out. He was just like, what, but he loves it. Like I said, like he likes this shit. So yeah, I can't wait till he's like in his early teens. I think we're going to be going to a lot of horror movies. It's going to be fun, I think. So
That's awesome,
yeah.
man. You got to get him out on the water. I remember one time it's cool that it was an international show, by the way, because I feel like all the documentaries are always in California or Florida, which is obviously where our sharks are.
Yeah.
But interesting to go to Egypt. And yeah, I remember one time I was surfing. Sorry, quick sidebar.
No, conversational podcast.
Yeah. So this is when my family lived just outside of San Francisco, and I was at Bolinas Beach, which is a pretty big local surfing beach there, taking a lesson. And there was a seal. I was surfing right next to a seal. And I remember looking over and seeing him. They're like, what is that? Oh my gosh, it's a seal. So it was at equal parts one of the coolest moments in my life to be that close to something wild in the ocean.
Yeah.
And then immediately realizing what do sharks eat, and I need to get out of the water. They love them seals. Yeah. So equal parts fantastic and horrifying.
Yeah, with this, they couldn't figure out like there had ever been a shark attack along this beach, and there had been multiple shark attacks within like a few days or a few weeks, and they started learning that the wounds that people had were like they noticed like different like bite marks, so different sharks, different kinds of sharks. So there was like 4 different species of sharks that were attacking. So like this is really odd. Like this never happens, and it's like from sharks that rarely like swim in shallow waters, or like what would draw them to there. And I think I missed this part of it, but I think it had something to do with like some sort of tanker ship that carries livestock.
Oh.
And they found out that some of this livestock had gotten like had dumped or fallen into this part of the bay or the sea,
Mhm.
and the sharks came in, and they, I guess, it was like a feeding frenzy essentially. So then they started coming in. They're in this bay, and then there's nothing else to eat, so they start chomping on people. But
Wow.
yeah, it
They were
was
just going to
pretty
where the
cool.
food was.
That's
Wow.
right. So it was like a combination of things too. I think they also found out that there were some people also feeding sharks, which is a no-no.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that.
Don't feed the sharks. Don't feed the bears.
Yeah, feeding the bears is fun until it's, like, early November and the rest of their friends have hibernated, and then you'll never know what happens next.
No, you probably never know again.
Right.
No one might be over. But let's get to our movie of the week, The Conjuring 2. We'll go into some box office here, some ratings and reviews, and then we'll get into our thoughts on this film. So, released on June 10th, 2016, it had a budget of $40 million and made $321.3 million. I think it was like a million more than the first Conjuring film, with I think a slightly bigger budget by about 10 or 20 million, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Ratings and reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 80% and an 81% audience score. The average on IMDb is a 7.3 out of 10, and the Metacritic score is 65%. Couple random reviews here I pulled out from Metacritic. Just randomly pulled out a top review. Gave it 100. It was from Cineview, and they said director James Wan has delivered what should be rightfully considered his masterpiece. There is a breadth and scale of ambition at work, which really tops anything he's tried in the genre before. Most importantly, it's a resounding success. And then I pulled out a lower review score from Screen Crush. And this is what they stated as follows: If The Conjuring is an example of a haunted house movie done right, The Conjuring 2 is an example of everything gone wrong. You can only retread old tropes so many times. Oh, geez.
That's harsh.
Yeah, crushing.
Don't know how I
Jamie,
feel about that.
how
Chad.
do you feel about this one?
So, let's see. How do I feel? It's
So
um
let's review. So you really like The Conjuring, right? That was like,
yes.
that's like a 4 out of 5 on your letterbox score.
Yes.
How is this one, and how is it compared coming off the first film?
So I it definitely feels like a sequel, and I don't mean that
In a
in a
pejorative way?
yeah, that pejorative was the choice word I was looking for. Yeah, I don't mean that as a pejorative. It just we know who these characters are, which I think this film benefits from. You don't have to set up who are Ed and Lorraine, although those are some of my favorite scenes in the original when they're lecturing the students at the university and
Mm,
explaining
yep,
kind of what they do. I love that scene. Um, but this one, it's kind of more about them and their relationship, their marriage. So their characters are still really strong, which I love. And honestly, like I like going to England. It feels kind of sequely to like, well, I guess we'll take a jump across the pond, and we can't do this in America or New England again. I would say why not? There's plenty of haunted houses there, but I think the setting is cool. And I like that it's working class England, too. We don't always see that. We get a lot of
mm,
highbrow British dramas here, like your Downton
yes,
Abbeys and yeah, your Sherlocks, which I love, but it's not exactly like Guy Ritchie Snatch, which is also fun in its own way. So
right.
I like that it was more of that. Um
On that note,
and
quick, before you get any
yeah.
further, I do like there seemed to, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but like when Ed and Lorraine are still in the US, everything seems a lot cleaner, like
Hmm.
a lot brighter, even like when you're in their home, everything is really bright. Then when we get the scenes and the shots from London, it is definitely darker, grittier. I think they did a better job on this film of kind of matching. Like I think the costume design is a lot better, and um, yeah, I did notice that juxtaposition. So, but
Yeah,
carry
no,
on, sir, with your opinion.
No, you're absolutely right, and I hadn't even thought of it until you said that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. London's darker, it's foggier, it's, dirtier, and I remember you mentioned about the first one, you had, an issue with how, like, nice everyone's costume was, and this one, it's definitely, the family, I can't think of their last name, um, but the
Like,
family what's their name?
oh, I can't remember. I had it on
Hodgson, the Hodgson
Hodgson.
family.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely their clothes are a little more worn, little hand me down. They really kind of leaned into kind of their situation in life, shall we say.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good way, like playing that up too. Even like their living quarters is, yeah, it was. I like the aesthetic that gave. It really did make it feel like it was this very like working class, struggling family. So
Yeah. Agreed. And I the last thing I'll say is I think just right off the top, having watched them both, I think I like The Conjuring, the original, more than this one, which is not what I would have guessed watching
mm.
this again, just as a complete movie. But I think The Nun is scarier than anything we get in the first film.
Yeah, I'll have to agree. Like, I mean, I guess I rated these identical. I gave them both 3.5 stars. I enjoyed them both. I thought The Conjuring 2, though, was a little bit more terrifying. And I think it seemed like it was kind of a different movie in a way. I guess we get like the haunted house. I guess there's like haunted house possession in the first one. And this one
Mhm.
is a kind of a combination of the two, but I don't really know what I'm saying. But I actually I really like the jumpy scares in this one. I thought the demons that we get and like are the the demons in this one are a lot cooler. Like for me, it's like coming out of this, I can't stop thinking about the Crooked Man.
Okay.
Like that was like for me, that was like my favorite part of this movie. The nun, well, it's twofold. I like the nun, like in like towards the beginning of the film when it's all that's taking place inside the house of Ed and Lorraine with
Hmm.
like the painting. Um, Especially like when you see like the shadow like going along the wall and it goes
Yes.
behind the painting and then like you see like the hands, like the fingers are coming out from the wall and like grabbing the painting and then it like launches towards you, and like that was
Yeah.
really cool. But like there's something about the nun's face that looks too Marilyn Manson for me to be like, okay, whatever. It's just not as I got that stuck in my head and I can't shake it. I can't get it out. But there's something I really like about the Crooked Man. I don't know if it was like I didn't get a chance to research this at all, but I wanted to see if they actually did stop motion for the Crooked Man or if that was like some kind of frame rate they did with some sort of CGI. But I
Yeah.
really liked how that looked. It was almost kind of like Jack Skeleton esque. Um, Maybe that's why I really liked it too. I guess now that I think about it, you get kind of like the pinstripes on like the coat and very skinny, long legs, long arms, body, and the round head. So maybe that's why I like the Crooked Man. But I love how that character Batty pops up a few different times in this one. So yeah, and the nice little song that goes with it too. So that's what I loved about it. There was a moment too. I think about 90 minutes in where like Ed and Lorraine are spending some more time with the family in London, and Ed's like singing some songs on the guitar, and I think Lorraine's having like these kind of touchy feely moments with like the girl, the youngest girl of the family. So
Yeah.
but it was short lived. That was only like 5 minutes, and we were back into like the basement and with all
in
that
the
stuff going on.
in
So,
the flood.
which
Yeah.
yeah, the flood. So, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And I love those little scenes of like Patrick Wilson singing Elvis and um just you can have a horror movie with like great actors and performers, I think that's what that tells me, and it makes the movie so much better for it because you believe this guy. You know, you believe that he wants to help these people and is just doing what he can to make them feel okay. And no, I love that. I did want to go back though to the scene you mentioned with the nun and the painting,
Yeah.
because I think, and I remember I saw this in the theater, and I remember thinking at the time too, when they were doing that sequence, you know, it starts when she's in the room and her daughter points down the hall at the nun, and right away, it shows you the monster, and you're thinking, don't go follow that, you know, don't
Right.
do it. What are you doing? And I think that the suspense of that, and like you said, culminating when it jumps from the wall, is that's like right up there with top horror movie sequences for me. And I think it's one of those. I was trying to think of how to describe it the other night. It's one of those that like really puts you on defense as a viewer. You know, like the film almost changed the rules of how these spirits interact with the people. So I have a little list if you're interested
Yeah. Let
of
it rip.
scenes that I think this could enter the pantheon with. So one of
Cool.
them's the ring, when Samara comes out of the TV, because that's, you know, if you've seen it for the first time, you don't know what she's doing or how it happened. So you're like, she's not coming out of that TV. No way. And
Right.
then she does, and
Gotcha.
it all makes sense. Um, the witch, when the witch takes Samuel, and as you lovingly referred to it, makes baby butter.
Oh yeah.
Because right away that tells you like, wow, we are in for a lot more than I bargained for with this movie. Um, and then I have the alien chest burst scene, the psycho shower scene, the entire film of The Exorcist, in my opinion, and then in Get Out, the Rose keys scene. Give me those keys, Rose. You know that scene?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
that's when it turns, and yeah, you find something out. So that was a little list I made.
Cool. I love it. That was awesome.
Well,
Yeah, there's yeah, the thing I like about the nun too then is again, this is why I am so curious about this movie franchise world, or whatever you want to call it, universe, is that I know about these other movies that exist, and I like how I know that there's a movie about the nun, and now there's like a branch now that I want to go explore. It's like in the first movie, I know that there's a movie about that doll, Annabelle,
hmm,
and now I need to eventually I'm gonna have to watch that movie, you know? Like
yeah.
I don't care. I haven't read any reviews of it. I don't know how good it is, but I gotta see it now. And this one, so we have the nun, and we also get the Crooked Man, which I also read is a spin-off is being developed as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's been delayed quite a bit, but I do love again this like world building of a way of these uh paranormal like beings. So
Hmm.
yeah, I love that. So do you want to go into let's go into some favorite scenes. So you mentioned
Yeah.
the nun scene, like that first one with the painting. Um
Yes.
yeah, you know what this is what I was gonna say was I love it in that scene too that we were talking about describing where like the painting comes like the nun comes through the painting in the wall.
Hmm.
Um Also before that when she turns like the light off and she's walking up closer to that painting on the wall, and it's just like you could see like faintly of like the like the definition of like the face of the nun, but the eyes are like glowing,
Yeah.
and I just love that. And you get kind of a similar scene with the girls in their bedroom. I think that's the one, or like the girl starts talking and like the voice like this is my house.
Bill
And
Wilkins.
yes, and the older sister like turns around and looks at the wall, but the light is off, and you can kind of see this faint like image of like a face standing there. And then she like turns on her lamp, and it's just like the poster of whatever British
Oh,
teen idol I'm guessing of the time was. But it's probably like Davy Jones or something. But yeah, I thought those two scenes were very similar and super creepy.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't notice the eyes. Because here's what happens: my TV, it doesn't have, it's an older TV, so the resolution isn't awesome. So for some of those super dark scenes, like I didn't even see the glowing eyes in the bedroom
Mm,
scene. So
wow.
I would have missed that. And it's one of those parts too where like I want to lean in so I can see it better, but I know something's gonna jump out, so I don't.
Right.
So oh, that's cool. I'm gonna have to watch it on a better screen now
Yeah.
because I missed that.
Well, even on your phone. So I cheated the first time I watched it on my phone, and this would probably make James proud, but I watched the movie a second time on my TV, which is an older TV. It's probably like 13 years old now, 13-year-old plasma. But
Respect.
yeah, it was definitely cool. I loved it.
Oh
Again, I
yeah.
feel like there's like multiple parts like this that in this movie that had me jumping and waiting in suspense, like knowing
Yeah.
something is going to happen. But um, now, kind of while I'm talking about it, while I'm going down that road, is knowing that something is going to happen, rewatching it, and being just as frightened the second time, even though I know exactly what's going to happen,
Mhm.
was the scene where the the boy, I could get better at like trying to remember these character names instead of like the boy, the girl,
Oh yeah.
the mom, but the where the boy, that's like the he looks down the hallway and there's like the tent at the end of the hallway there.
Yeah.
That I thought that was freaky. But then the fire truck like coming into his room and then he brings it back and I think yeah, he goes back and he rolls a fire truck into the tent
Mhm.
and then it comes out and I think there's like that scream, that loud scream part that got
Yeah.
me twice, man.
Meaning you watched it,
I
forgot
watched
about
it.
it.
No, I watched. No, this is more ridiculous. I watched it, then I rewound it because there was a part right before he started going down the hallway that I missed.
Mhm.
So like immediately after watching it, that scene, I rewound it, watched the whole thing again, and it got me again.
Oh, no judgment. Yeah, that one totally got me too. That's one of the slower scenes. And yeah, very rewarding with the jump scare. I speaking of scary scenes like that kind of come back to you after the fact. I completely forgot about the opening scene with the Amityville house.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one really disturbed me on this watch where like Vera Farmiga just is going through the house like gunning down family
With the
members.
imaginary shotgun.
Yes,
Yeah, it
dude,
was good.
that freaked me out and I completely forgot about it from the first time I saw this movie. It's one of the more like graphic hard R scenes that I can think of in a horror film.
Yeah, that took me a bit by surprise. I didn't know how far that they were gonna take that opening scene because when I first started watching it, I was like, okay, this is movie number 2. They're gonna do, this classic Amityville,
Mhm.
haunting, and yeah, it totally took me by surprise, like how that went. So
Yeah.
definitely was creepy. There's a That's another thing I like about this movie as well. I think they kind of do this a little bit in the first one. Is there's like these dual, I call them the dual hauntings. Like there's, we get like scenes with like Ed and Lorraine and their daughter in their home. Then we get scenes with like in the first one with like the family in their new home, and then in Conjuring 2 with the family in London. There's kind of simultaneously like these like hauntings going on in both areas. And then there's something, then everything gets kind of pulled together like in the film. So that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a trend too, but I kind of like that. And again, I'm not the horror movie expert. As I'm watching more of these, I'm realizing I don't really watch a lot of horror movies, so maybe I'm easily um, entertained and pleased with these. But yeah, I don't know if that's something that you've ever picked up on, or if that's just something that happens in this genre. So
It's a very interesting point, and I'm gonna try to come up with an answer on the fly because I think in most movies there's kind of just like the primary evil or the primary scare that the characters are kind of dealing with or running from, and
Yeah.
then what's scary is figuring out what it is and
Right.
why it's going on. But I'm certain that there's other films where this happens too. I can't think of any on the fly. And um kind of expanding on what you said, it's interesting that they have the demon possessing a ghost, like taking over a dead guy like Bill Wilkins. I forgot about that too. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting concept to introduce, because already we're dealing with the afterlife, we're dealing with angels and demons and God. So you can kind of play around in that sandbox how you wish. And I thought it was really cool how they decided to possess a soul that's already passed on and kind of weave that in.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you clarified that because that was there was parts where I was like, I didn't really fully understand what was going on there, but that was a great way to clear that up for me. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that
well,
is
because
awesome.
I don't think we see it that often,
Yeah,
That's why it's like it's hard to place. It's like, wait, that's because Bill Wilkins is not the nun, but he's also, he was a guy who lived in
right,
that house that we find out. So
right.
that was kind of cool how they did that.
It's Valak.
Valak.
I know. I was thinking. I was like, actually, no, it's pronounced Valak.
Yeah. It's Balak.
Like all the wind and stuff is like raging in that room, and she's like Valak. Like everything stops for a second, and he's like, no, it's actually pronounced Valak. It's Algonquin for um yeah.
For scary F and none.
For scary F and none. Oh dude. All right. Yeah, I was just taking notes here. The movie I was going through, I was like, I gotta just note some of these scenes as I going through. So because I forget a lot of these. So I mentioned the two girls in their room and the faint shadow, the face on the wall. That's just a poster.
Yup.
Um, I like the scene though with the bell ringing and the boy wakes up and he goes to the door with the dog,
Yeah.
and like then the dog transforms into the crooked man, and he's like chasing him. He's like, I'm the crooked man with the crooked whatever. That was really really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I that was another one I forgot about. Like, I remembered that the bell was a cue from the Crooked Man. These things, these
Yeah,
faint things you remember from watching it the first time, but I forgot that he transforms from the dog. And then it's actually his sister who was channeling everything.
yeah.
So yeah, that one got me again too when the dog starts transforming. I was like, "Oh, that's right. Crooked Man's here."
Oh, then another scene I liked. Actually, again, almost all of them is the girl in the room. So, girl in the room with all the crosses hanging on the wall. Then they
Mhm.
all start to turn upside down, and that would just made me think of like, so is so just the cross right itself, right?
Yeah.
That is bad for a demon, right? It
Yes.
casts the demon away, or the demons don't like it. But
Yes.
once it turns upside down, it's all good, right?
It's yeah.
So so it's like, so if a demon sees a cross, if a demon like stands on its head, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that a demon's defense against a cross? Because then it's upside down, right? Or no?
Right? That's pretty good.
Like that,
That's
right?
that's pretty good. Yeah, so yeah, it's easier with a partner, like if you have someone to hold your legs while you.
Right. Right. Yeah, you might get tired doing a handstand this entire time. Yeah, or just like turning your head, like even like a sideways cross, like just as deadly as like a right side up cross.
Yeah. There's
Anyway,
Do you do you watch
just
Silicon Valley?
yeah, it's I watched it when it was on, so I don't remember too much of it. Besides
You
that, it was really funny.
you just remind me of that. Guilfoyle is a Satanist, so he has an upside down cross
Yeah,
tattoo on his arm.
yeah,
But then there's a scene
yes.
where he's like reaching for a box on a shelf, and Dinesh is like, "I didn't know you were a Christian."
Right.
Or
Oh.
oh,
Oh man, I always love the banter between those two.
oh, they're like a comedy all-time duo.
Yeah, it's so rad. They always
Yeah.
just trying to fuck each other over.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I had a scene that was, like, unintentionally funny as it was being creepy. It's, when, Lorraine, wakes up and she goes into the room and he's painting the nun picture,
yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I couldn't sleep, I just had this image in my mind, I figured if I put it on the page," and he's like she has that reaction, he's like, "Well, I'm no Picasso, but I didn't think it was that bad."
yeah,
It's like,
right.
"Dude, it's the scariest thing I've ever seen."
Right.
Like,
Right.
just so chill about it
First of
all.
all, first of all, you're being pretty modest about
Right.
your painting skills.
Exactly. Like, "I didn't think it was that bad." It's horrifying.
Right. If my partner is just painting that
Mhm.
in the morning, I wake up, that's the first thing I see. I'm like, no.
Twin
Uh,
beds tonight, honey, twin beds.
right. Right. I guess, I don't, do we know what kind of beds they sleep in? I would just guess that this era and their devotion to the Lord, I would guess that they would have separate beds.
They
But what's your opinion?
No, I thought you were gonna land the plane. You finish.
Nope, nope. I'm circling because I it was a failed landing.
Okay,
What were you
I'll
gonna say?
they answer this question because there's this scene when they're in the Hodgson house in separate beds, and Ed says, "I'm not used to sleeping this far away from you."
Oh yeah, you're right. I
Yeah,
do
and
remember that. Yeah, good
yeah.
call. I do remember that because I remember thinking that, having this thought that for, being crazy, well, not crazy, but being very like Christian, right? Like devoted to the faith. I was like, man, they smash a lot.
You're
Like
right.
Ed and Lorraine smash a lot. You could just tell.
You could tell. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, it's
Uh,
gotta be, you need some release after fighting all the demons from
all the
hell.
demons, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, let those other demons out.
exactly.
Um Another scene I had in here, so when Ed is going into the water to the basement's flooding and get cool, like Bill Bryce out of the water, it's pretty cool. But in this, as in the first Conjuring film, and I think in a lot of horror movies, we get a fast flying through the air piece of furniture
Gotta have
that
that.
smashes against the wall and just like shatters into 1,000 pieces. So I was thinking, is like, what would the velocity of that chair have to be to be like smashed into that many pieces?
Right.
Do you know that? Is that in your horror movie encyclopedia of knowledge?
Oh, man. The velocity, let's have to dig into my physics.
Right?
I have no idea. I
No
I
idea.
will I will say though, you'd be surprised when things break. I remember I got stitches when I like reached for a glass out of the cabinet and then it fell and I tried to catch it as it was falling, but it like broke as I caught it, so I sliced my hand. And
Oof.
yeah, it sucked. But that made a lot of pieces, and that was just like
Mm.
3 feet off of a cabinet. So I don't know. You'd be surprised. We just need to, maybe break some stuff and see what's what.
All right, I'll give that to you. But I was just thinking, like, if it was, I would just grab any random. Well, how about the chair that I'm sitting on? Right, it's like a wooden chair. I was like, if this thing had to fly through the air, like being pitched by a demonic beast,
Hmm.
and it were to hit the wall, and for it to smash like that, I would imagine it would leave a pretty giant hole in the wall.
Right.
But anyway, I just had that thought, and I thought I'd just share with you. I thought you might get a kick out of that. Didn't ruin the movie for me.
Yeah. No, it's a valid point.
Then that is all right. So after that, we get like the part of the movie where they say that, oh, the girl's been making it up. right? They
Hmm.
catch her on camera. She's smashing everything on purpose, like in the kitchen and doing all these other things where they're just like, oh, she's been making it up the entire time, which I think doesn't really like make sense with the other things that were being experienced. But anyway, they're just like, she's been making it up. We got her on film. They're not going to be able to get, ecstasy, and Ed and Lorraine are going to have to leave. Then I was just thinking, I was like, what if the movie just ended there? that's
Yeah.
that's where it was. Just oh, she was just making it up. The end. Do 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 do. Horror.
They had like 90 minutes at that point. I mean, it was
Yeah,
technically a feature film.
yeah, yeah. Would that be a disappointing twist?
That would be such a disappointing twist. Like, nothing to see here. Move
Right. It would
along.
just fit into like, oh, because like Ed and Lorraine are being interviewed on that television show earlier about being called out as frauds, and um,
Right.
anyway, but that's not what happens. So I
It's not
just
what
had
does
that thought.
happen.
Well, they go. What draws them back in? I forget. Right? They're
So
leaving.
they're leaving. I have it right here. They quickly return to Hodgson residence, only to find Janet possessed and the rest of the Hodgsons locked outside.
Hmm,
Right? Right?
I don't remember
No, me either.
because I can't remember what draws them back in. Do do do.
Huh.
Because they start leaving, like they're in the car and everything, and they take off.
Yeah, they discover that Wilkins is a pawn being manipulated by Valak,
Yeah.
but I don't remember
Is
how
this
they
where
figure that
she
out.
has the? Nope, that's not till the end. So she realizes she wrote down the name in the book.
Oh, right. Right.
Hmm.
Shoot.
Well, anyway, we did watch this movie, so we just can't remember that part. So maybe
Right.
Valak like man in blacked it from our memory. But
Yeah, mind meld. Oh well.
let me go back to, I think was one of the, I don't want to say scariest or even like one of my favorite though scenes of the movie, maybe one of my favorite jump scares in the movie is, so Ed and Lorraine are back, right? And
Yeah.
then we get to see Ed crawls into the tent because the little animated Crooked Man music box starts playing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like the animation of him, and then it disappears. Then all of a sudden, he looks up, and the Crooked Man's face is right there, and he's just like, "Rah!"
Yeah.
And I just love that whole scene. I just love that Crooked Man. I'm telling you that right now. It's like it's straight out of like a horror video game or something, like Resident Evil or like Silent Hill.
Yeah, it really is because he's got that hat pulled down
Yeah,
and the big scary smile. I think so. You
beady
would you
eyes.
beady eyes? Would you add him to like your favorite movie monsters? Do you have a list? I make a list of such things.
Oh, I should start making lists though. Um, right now, yeah, like I think it's like one of the most entertaining. It's not one
Yeah.
of those things too where I had these moments, like the Nun, where I just kind of look at it and I'm just like, man, like I don't know, there's just something about it I don't like. And then for the Nun, it's just like it just looks too Marilyn Manson y for me, you know. But I
I,
mean, even though like the scene with like the painting stuff, like that was pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think maybe it might be kind of like the Jack Skellington, you know, similarities for me that I really like.
right.
But I think it's really cool. I mean, I've been like texting you stuff about it, I think, since I finished this movie.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I think it's cool too, and I will say you're. I love your Marilyn Manson point because I do think unfortunately I have to concede that you're probably right. I yeah, I think the nun is the scariest though when she's like in the shadows or
Yeah.
because I agree like when she runs at you and she's got the teeth going and the snarl, that's not as scary to me.
Yeah.
And I will say there's a lot of that in The Nun, the movie, which
Mm,
I don't find to be as effective as she is when she's like in a painting or,
right.
moving down the hall.
Probably will watch. Annabelle before. Have you seen Annabelle?
I haven't. No, the
Okay.
only extended universe film I've seen is The Nun, so I'm
Okay.
excited too.
Oh, did you know that Steve Mnuchin was the executive producer of this film?
Uh, I didn't. That's a bummer. Former Secretary of the Treasury, is that right?
Yeah,
Treasury Secretary?
he
Yeah.
is done. He has been executive producer on a ton of films.
I know he did Fury Road, which just bums me out to no end.
Yeah, because he is really. I think that movie is really awesome, even though some
Same.
people think it's. But here, I'll go through the list of movies that executive producer really means you get your name on it and you just put some money towards a film,
Right,
pretty
right.
much. So, but he was executive producer on the Lego Movie.
Mm,
Movies called Winter's Tale came out 2014. I don't know, never heard of it. American Sniper, Annabelle, so the Annabelle
okay.
movie. Um, oh god, this site that I have pulled up is like one of those sites where it's just like advert, 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 advert. So I was like, oops, should have picked a
Oh,
different site to read this. Edge of Tomorrow,
that one
Inherent
hurts too.
Vice,
Uh-huh.
Mad Max Fury Road,
Uh-huh.
Run All Night, Get Hard, Entourage,
Okay.
figures.
Yeah, figures.
The latest Vacation movie with Ed Helms,
Oh, that movie sucked.
Pan, came out in 2015. Black Mass, The Man from Uncle, The Heart of the Sea, Brand is Chaos, The Intern, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide
Mm.
Squad, Keanu, Conjuring 2, Sully, How to Be Single, Central Intelligence. Oh my god, there's like tons of these movies. Legend of Tarzan, Lego Batman movie. You get the point,
Yeah.
right? I don't. I'll stop there. But yeah, I had no idea. I had to Google that and make sure it was like the Steve Mnuchin.
Right.
So, well, guys, I think I'll give a little bit of money to the Conjuring too.
It's a great investment. Turns out he was right. It was a great
Right?
investment.
True. Truth. Did this one have the Ouija board? Yeah, they had the Ouija board, the makeshift Ouija board.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a Ouija board experience?
I have not, and we kind of touched on this, my superstitions, and I won't. Even if I think it's probably bunk.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna risk it, man. I know it's silly. I know I'm being silly, but what can I say? Old habits die hard.
Oh, I've risked it. I've risked
Yeah.
it. I put some risks toward it, but it probably doesn't surprise you. But
Does not.
I well did it like multiple times. So I'm gonna share a story that I did that was probably really a really mean thing to do. But I was at a friend's apartment, and there's probably like maybe like four or five of us sitting around, and they were all getting baked and stoned, and they wanted to play the Ouija board. So they started doing it, and they were asking all kinds of questions. And I was just like, this is so bunk, you know. I was like moving the thing around, you know, and stuff. I can't remember what led up to this, but also like I started like moving it around really fast. The little dial or whatever the hell you call it, the
Yeah,
cursor. Do you
it's
know what
got a
that
very
piece is called?
specific name.
Yeah,
It's
it's probably like the Aj piece or the or something. I don't know. But anyway, I was moving that thing around like really fast, and I picked it up and I put it on my forehead, and I threw myself back against the couch.
Oh
And
no.
I was just screaming like I don't know. I can't. I was just screaming a bunch of shit like about the devil and everything. And everyone was like freaking out. I just dropped. I was like, I'm just kidding. Oh
uh,
man, they were so
A
pissed.
I'm not surprised. B, that's kind of funny. Oh,
Yeah,
I will say that's
it was
funny.
pretty mean, but yeah. I don't know. I'll probably end up being possessed by demons someday because I did that. It's like because in the year of 1998,
You
you held the Ouija board piece to your forehead, and the demon.
right.
the demon put its seed in you, and it's taken this many years for it to mature or something. I don't know.
See, I'm
Anyway,
not risking it.
yeah.
Planchette, that's what it's called. It's the planchette.
Planchette. Yes, you are
Yeah,
correct, sir.
very specific name.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was the Parker Brothers version that was mass produced and sold for many of years. I think they released it, like they started selling it in '72,
Hmm.
just like a very odd thing to have as like an item to sell. And
Right.
yeah, I was just looking up the instructions for it before we started the pod, and there's things on it that says like, how do I make it work? At night, leave the board. Wait, I think this is the glow in the dark one, but it says leave the board and planchette side by side under a lamp with the light on it for approximately 10 minutes. During the day, leave them in a sunny window. The glow will last for approximately 30 minutes. I'm guessing that's some kind of glow in the dark thing. I don't know.
Must be.
Then set it up. If desired, set the mood by dimming the lights or turning them off. Before using the Ouija board, wipe it with a dry cloth to remove dust and moisture. Sit opposite another player and gather around the board if more than two are playing. What do I need to do now? Players take turns asking questions and should all agree to the question before asked. Ask only one question at a time. Ask your question slowly and clearly, and wait to see what the planchette spells out for you. This is my favorite. If nothing happens, try asking another question. Allow 1 to 5 minutes for an answer to come. Uh,
Oh, you ready for me to bring this full circle?
yeah.
You're gonna love this. So I'm guessing, like most things, the Parker Brothers game was probably made in China, or at least mass produced. And Ouija, so I'm on Wikipedia, I'm looking at the precursors. I'm just gonna read these two or three sentences. One of the first mentions of the automatic writing method used in the Ouija board is found in China around 1100 AD in historical documents of the Song dynasty. The method was known as Fuji, planchette writing. The use of planchette writing as an ostensible means of necromancy and communion with the spirit world continued, and, albeit under special rituals and supervisions, was a central practice of the Quanzhen school until it was forbidden by the Qing dynasty.
Mm.
So they forbade it, but then brought it back for Parker Brothers.
Oh my god. Oh, it's a way to destroy a nation, maybe. 50
Oh,
years after the release of the Ouija board.
right. Oh no, I had no idea that it was Chinese in origin.
All
It's
right.
probably
Yeah.
debated. I'm
Right.
sure, like anything,
That
it's
was
probably
like some
so old.
created story for the board game.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Citation: Parker Brothers Corp. Oops.
Right. All right, cool. Do you have anything else you want to add before
Um,
we're done for the
no,
day?
just to say that these movies are tons of fun. I'm glad we got to do them, and I'm looking forward to watching 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, because we both missed our HBO Max window. So
Yes. Yes, I know.
yeah,
But it'll probably come back. I feel like all the other ones that have been on there
yeah,
have found their way back. So once it's had its run through the theaters, yeah, I'm excited to. I put on a note on here too. I was like, I'm going to be really disappointed if at the end of the Conjuring 3 that we don't get a scene towards the end of the movie where Ed is putting away whatever um, item that he found or got from their little experience into their
yeah.
archive.
I love it.
Before we go,
Sweet.
we want to thank you for downloading this episode of Movie Time Machine Monster Closet Edition. Remember, new episodes drop on Fridays. You can send your questions, comments, and feedback to movietimemachinepod@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter @MovieMachinePod. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.